All right. So this whole thing is about defending our mind against unclean spirits. And how do we do that? Well, we have to understand what is our mind. It's all over the scriptures. It talks about the mind. It just refers to it as something else. It's called the heart. When you're reading the Bible and it says the heart, it's talking about your mind. It's just that when they translated it, the Greeks always thought that your mind was inside your heart. So when they translated the mind, it went into the heart. But the heart is the mind, and it tells you how how it can be hardened, how it can be softened, and how you can actually like have the Most High establish your thoughts. So let's see. Let's start with Psalms 22:26. So how can we defend against unclean spirits? Unclean spirits are false gods or devils. They call false gods because there's one thing they want to be, worship and control. If you want to know where all these unclean spirits came from, they had their own personal dimension. They were created already and they had their own dimension they were created to be in. But by wicked people brought them into this world by doing idolatrous practices and things like that, and they're roaming about. And when Christ came back, the reason why Christ came was also to save us and also to banish them back. That's why he says that the demons and the devils, they fear his name because they know that they have to go back to where they came from. Because here, they're free to roam around and do whatever they want. Back where they're originally from, they have to follow that rules. And if you want to know the location of it, according to what Uriel told Ezra, he says, don't worry about the location where all the evil and the demons and all that came from. They just understand they're not supposed to be here on this earth. They were brought here by wicked people. All right. Psalms 22 and 26.
All right. Psalms chapter 22, verse 26. The meek shall eat and be satisfied. They shall praise the Lord that seek him. Your
Mhm.
heart shall live forever.
Your heart, meaning your mind. So when it says your heart shall live forever, it's talking about your mind or your consciousness. Even after you die, when you go into the spirit realm, your mind, which is your consciousness, and your soul and your spirit, these three, they remain with you. The only thing that you lose is this body, because this body was came from this earth. So the earth gives back this body, and the spirit goes back to the Most High along with the soul and your mind. So that's one thing. So now let's see the difference between the mind of people and the mind of humans or sons of Adam, things like that. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus and the Apocrypha. You can find Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 17 and start at 1.
Sirach 17, verse 1.
Mhm.
The Lord created man of the earth and turned him into it again.
So to show you, that's where the bodies come from, the earth. That's the thing. What Christ did when he was born from the earth, he arose from the dead and he transformed his body. That was the thing. He turned something that was corruptible into incorrupt. And he took it with him to the heavens, his earthly body. So, but the earth right here, but as you know, when we die, our bodies go back to the earth. Keep going.
He gave them few days and a short time, and power also over the things therein.
Yeah, he gave us a few days in a short time. So, in other words, this is known as the testing ground. Our minds and our bodies are on trial right now, as long as we're on this earth. This is known as the testing ground to see if we'll accept good or evil, to see if we're worthy for the world to come, worthy for the resurrection. Because as you know, whoever goes around saying, "Oh, you live once," you hear that. They say that a lot. You only live once. That's a lie. Even tells you in parts of Wisdom of Solomon, that's what wicked people say. The righteous live 3 times and the wicked live twice. When I say 3 times, yeah, you die once. Whereas for the righteous, you get resurrected to live 1,000 years with Christ. That's known as the second lifetime. And then after that, the world to come. You go from glory to glory. So your bodies get even more glorified in the new kingdom. So that's the third lifetime. So, but as for the wicked, they got this lifetime and then they receive a resurrection. That's when Christ is on the scene. Um, and he's teaching all the nations and he's teaching all the people and things like that. So when he's teaching the people, they actually have a chance to see him face to face and actually hear his words. And it says, even that, the majority of the world, a lot of people are still going to reject him. So keep going.
He endued them with strength by themselves
Mhm.
and made them according to his image.
According to his image, the way our structure of our body is, that's the mimic of his image, how his structure is. Because it says that he has it showed that the Heavenly Father has hair. It showed that Christ himself, he had a beard, he had a robe, he wore clothes, things like that. So he had us be mimics of him. But it also said he was righteous. Also said he hated iniquity and he was kind-hearted. It showed that he didn't like lies, he didn't do sin, things like that. That's why he wanted us in his image or try. Because we know there's a lot of unclean spirits around here that's going to try to like break us away and try to make us in their image. I want to say their image because it tells you when people start to worship idols, they become like the idols. And a good example is look at the celebrities. They worship these celebrities and they become like them. They imitate them. They buy their brand of clothes. They adopt their catchphrase, which are something called mantras. The mantras are like these words that you say repeatedly. So when they constantly say things like this, yada you mean, or yada you know what I mean, things like that, they'll say something crazy, but they understand it and it's just for them. Or, like things that people be saying in this video, that's pause, and things like that. All that come from celebrities, things like that. It had a starting point from that. And then that whole mantra or the saying that they kept saying over and over starts to get popular. And the thing is, if you disrespect their celebrities, it's like you're disrespecting them because that's part of their gods. They imitate them. They dress like them. They use their words. They act just like them. All right, keep going.
And put the fear of man upon all flesh,
Mhm.
and gave him dominion over beasts and fowls.
Yeah, and that's the reason why all animals, the minute they see a human, they just get a little shocked. That's why the minute in like insects, when an insect see like a certain human, they just run to the opposite direction. When you're walking down a park and a squirrel look at you, they just run away. They don't do that to birds or anything. But once they see people, they just run away. Automatically, their instincts tell them, "Well, it's a human. Let's stay away from them." Rarely do animals just walk side by side. I'm not talking about the pets. Those are pets that you got rid of that fear when they was like little kittens or puppies. I'm not talking about pets. I'm talking about animals in the wild. Animals in the wild. For certain animals, they just walk side by side. Like they'll see birds all the time, walk by them, but once they see humans, it's like automatically in their mind, they get frightened. Keep going.
Received the use of the 5 operations of the Lord.
Hmm.
And in the 6th place, he imparted them understanding.
Hmm.
And in the 7th speech, an interpreter of the cogitations thereof.
All right. So in other words, we have the regular 5 operations, the touching, seeing, smell, sight, taste, and they also have something that animals just don't have. Animals have something known as instincts, which is a built-in law where they don't have to be taught. Things like that. Animals, they would just procreate and they don't have to follow what their parents tell them. They automatically know what to do. Like for example, beavers. You get a baby beaver, you put it around water, automatically it knows what it has to do. It has to make a dam. it was inbred to do something like that. That's something inside of it. Like a cat. A cat automatically knows that it's a hunter and it hunts small rodents. Things like that. Those are known as inbred laws. We have understanding, meaning we can seek out things, we can learn other things, we can like change our understanding. And it says in the seventh speech, we can talk, animals can't. So we're able to interpret things that certain animals can't. So these are the things that can be done by the mind. So, but something happened to us. Let's go to Genesis 6 and 5. The reason why we was given a short period of days and why animals fear us, why the fear was on all animals. Genesis 6 and 5 is going to tell you why all animals had that fear.
Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. And Most High saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth,
Mhm.
and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
So right here, when it says thoughts of his heart, so that proves that the heart is the mind right here. This is one of the scriptures that proves it because you only have thoughts in your head, not literally in your heart. When anytime you want to know about the heart, when they use the word reins, when it says I search the reins, things like that, that's talking about the heart, the reins. And he says he searched the reins and the kidneys and everything. Then it's talking about the heart. The heart is known as the reins, like literally the beating heart, but the heart here is talking about the mind. So it's saying all the thoughts of man is imagination of his thoughts of his heart was always evil. It's just constantly evil, evil, evil. Whatever he's thinking about has to be evil. He can't think about nothing good. It always has to be evil. And if you read on, that kind of hurt the Most High because his whole creation of man was corrupt because it says that the Most High was a power of righteousness. Um, Go to verse 6.
And it repented the Most High that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart.
Yeah, his mind was grieved. And if you go into the Hebrew, it said it hurt him. Like he was really, that pained him, that man was going around killing each other, hurting each other, and things like that. That was never, he never wanted man to be like that. He wanted man to be what he is, a creator. So he could create things. But now they're just being destroyers. So instead, they're not in, imitating the Most High, they're imitating Satan. Because remember what Christ said, the thief comes not, but to steal, kill, and destroy. So they're constantly imitating what they see Satan, because Satan is corrupting their minds, him and all the evil spirits. And so let's see what happens about these unclean spirits, where they come from. Let's go to Matthew's 15, how they can enter and they can make you unclean. Just remember where they dwell at. They dwell in dry places. So yeah, okay. Before we do that, let's understand where these hold Matthew's hold Matthew 15 real quick. And let's go to Matthew's 12. 12 and 43.
Matthew chapter 12, verse 43. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places,
Okay.
seeking rest, and finding none.
So in other words, he walks through dry places, seeking rest and finding none. So in other words, what he's doing is going through a host. He's looking for a host. So let's see where these dry places are that he's talking about. Let's go to understand this dry place. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus 14 and 9. So we can understand more about this dry place that they walk through. That's Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha 14th chapter and 9th verse.
Sirach chapter 14, verse 9.
Hmm?
A covetous man's eye is not satisfied.
Hmm?
So is not satisfied with his portion,
Hmm?
And the iniquity of the wicked drieth up his soul.
So the iniquity of the wicked, when you commit iniquity, your soul begin to dry up. So when your soul dries up, that's that dark, that dry place that the unclean spirit walks in. But it needs a special host that's similar to its first host, and it's hard to find that same one. So it's in this person and that person jumping on this one, and it misses its original host. So now we understand that. Now let's go to how the unclean spirit makes the host unclean. Let's go to Matthews 15:18. Because it's good to understand how these unclean spirits operate, because you see them all the time, especially when you're in this country, when you're in an unclean country, like this one that we're in. We see them all the time. So it's good to understand how they operate, how they maneuver.
Matthew 15, verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man.
So the things that proceed out the mouth, they come from the heart, meaning the mind. Whatever you say is coming from what your mind says. And it says, they defile a man. And why? Because the unclean spirit is already in you. And when you say something, you're shooting out power, an image of a voice. The voice, like what you have, all voices have images. And let's prove that. Hold this. And let's go to 2nd Ezra 5:37. So we can prove it. We're still holding this. So let's go to 2nd Ezra in the Apocrypha. 5 and 37.
2nd Ezra chapter 5, verse 37.
Mm-hmm.
Open me the places that are closed,
mm-hmm.
and bring me forth the winds that in them are shut up.
So in other words, there's areas and portals around the earth where the winds go. That's why, like, when certain winds, it will come to one place and they'll disappear, or things like that. Where do they start? Where's the beginning of it? They don't just go all around the world. They teleport to certain places. They go through areas where they shut up. And he was just letting them know. He's letting them know about the things that's going around on the earth that we just can't do. But angels, they understand how to do this. Keep going.
Show me the image of a voice, and then that thou laborest to know.
So the image of a voice. Every time you speak, an image comes out. So when you say righteous things, a lot of righteous images come out. That's why it says when you praise the Most High, it's like you're giving the fruit of your lips, because images, they come out of what the words you say.
And it was verified to be true. Dr. Masarimoto. And what he discovered was, when you speak to the water and you say certain things like, I love you, or, you're my friend.
Or beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Angel. It could be simple, just like angel, happiness, peace. When you say these positive words to the water and then you freeze it, it makes beautiful shapes.
Most of the time they're symmetrical. They look like
you Google images. They have photos of this.
They look like snowflakes, like beautiful symmetrical snowflakes.
Now, when you say mean, nasty words to the water and then they freeze the water, it would make ugly,
asymmetrical
shapes.
Asymmetrical.
Yeah, like cracks and looks like damage.
Bubbles.
And you basically prove that, like, your consciousness and your will combined with the intention behind your words affects reality. It's like the concept that, like, your words are magic. So much so that you change physical reality. I personally believe this is one of the most important scientific discoveries of all time. I am really shocked that we don't even learn this in school. This is some next level stuff, and it was verified to be true. Dr. Masarimoto. And what he discovered was, when you speak to the water and you say certain things like, I love you, or, you're my friend.
Or beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Angel. It could be simple, just like angel, happiness, peace. When you say these positive words to the water and then you freeze it, it makes beautiful shapes.
Most of the time they're symmetrical. They look like
you Google images. They have photos of this.
They look like snowflakes, like beautiful symmetrical snowflakes.
Now, when you say mean, nasty words to the water and then they freeze the water, it would make ugly, repulsive shapes. Yeah, like cracks and looks like damage.
Bubbles.
And he basically proved that like your consciousness and your will combined with the intention behind your words affects reality. It's like the concept that like your words are magic, so much so that you change physical reality.
Yeah, it is quite literally proof that the things that come out of your mouth
change reality,
affect your physical surroundings.
So let's go back to Matthew's 15:18. Now that we understand that voices have images, and there was a Japanese guy named Imamoto. He actually was able to capture them by he was recording like images in water. I want to make sure I'm saying this. Dr. Yes, his name was Masaru Emoto. And what he was doing was he were having people, they were speaking to like the water, and he would like freeze it, and he would look under a microscope. So just see, like his name is Dr. Masaru Emoto, and he had the thing where he was taking pictures of water crystals, and they will give like images of like these snowflake looking things in the water. So when people would say things like compassion, thank you, wisdom, you'll see pictures that resemble sometimes like shield, what they call shields of David or ice crystals and things like that. But when you hear things like I will hurt you, you fool, things like that, it will give like this little rusty type of wear and tear. So he actually did that, and other scientists did that experiments, and they realized that there is like power in your words. Like when you speak righteous and good words, like literally images start to appear. But when you say wicked and wild things, then you have these unclean, deformed looking images. They start showing up. So once you start seeing these deformed images, that's when you start speaking evil things. So Matthew's 15:18.
Matthew 15, verse 18.
Uh-huh.
But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart,
Mm-hmm.
and they defile the man.
So it starts in your mind. That's where these unclean spirits, they hang out. They hang out in a person's mind. And that's why it says they come from the heart, which is your mind, and they defile a man. So your mind is over here being defiled. Keep going.
For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders.
All these things, they start like in your heart. So evil thoughts. You're constantly thinking about hurting people all the time. Murders. You want to murder someone. Things like that. Keep going.
Murders,
Mm-hmm.
adulteries,
Mm-hmm.
fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies.
All right. So these are the things right here that proceed from your mind. So just like people be saying, like, oh, Paul is speaking his own opinion. People would say that. They're saying, where do it say the works of the flesh and all that? With this Christ, he's talking about it right here. He says these are the things that make you unclean. The evil thoughts, the murders, adultery, fornication, theft. These are actually the works of the flesh that he's saying. Why? Because these are the things that when you become one with that unclean spirit, that's what happens. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus 10 to see where it all starts from. 10 and 2, 10 and 12. That's Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. So where does the corruption start from? So we understand, like it says, what's the root of the love of money is the root of all evil. But in order to have that love of money being a root of all evil, something had to, like, you had to set your eye, or something had to turn you away. So Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 10 and 12.
Sirach chapter 10, verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of pride is when one departeth from the Most High, and his heart is turned away from his maker.
So your heart is your mind, and your mind is turned away from his maker. So that's That's where it starts at. Once your mind starts to turn away from the Most High, because if you're constantly always thinking about the Most High all the time, or thinking about how to do righteousness all the time, how to help your brothers, how to understand how to use grace when you need it, things like that. You're following the commandments of the Most High. You're doing the righteous works of a true follower of Christ. Your heart shouldn't be turned away. But when your heart turns away, that's when pride comes in. Because now you think that you don't need a maker no more. You don't need a master. You can do whatever you want. Keep going. Verse
For
13.
pride, sorry. For pride is the beginning of sin,
So pride is the beginning of sin. Once you get proud, well, you don't have to listen to the Most High, and you start rebelling against Him. That starts the beginning of sin. Keep going.
that hath it, shall pour out abomination.
Hmm.
And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities,
Hmm.
and overthrew them utterly.
Yes. Keep going.
The Lord hath cast down the thrones of proud princes, and set up the meek in their stead.
Yes. Even when you look at the so-called Gentiles or the nations, look out through their history. Many of the proud nations were humble. Well, a good one, a good proud nation. Look at the nation of the Khans, like Genghis Khan, the ones that rule Asia. It says many people thought that they were undefeatable. Their army is so undefeatable. Now they were the leaders of the Mongolia. Mongolia was one of the superpowers back then that was ruling.
This is the country that almost conquered the world. Here's what really happened. In 1206, a warrior named Temujin united the Mongol tribes. They called him Genghis Khan. That year, the world changed. By 1215, he captured Beijing. Northern China was the first to fall. Then he turned west. Across deserts and mountains, they wiped out kingdoms one by one. Entire cities were burned to the ground. Millions were killed. By the 1240s, they had crossed into Europe. Poland, Hungary, Russia. No one could stop them. European armies were crushed. But then, the Great Khan died, and the Mongol generals retreated. Europe was saved by a funeral. Then came the second wave. In 1258, they destroyed Baghdad in just 7 days. The Mongols ended the Islamic Golden Age with fire and blood. They kept expanding. By the 1260s, their empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the edge of Austria. China, Korea, the Middle East, Central Asia, Eastern Europe, all under
Over all Asia. Now, look at them. They're one of the lowest of the lows. I mean, the reason why China don't want to take over them because it's like they're no use to them, but they can easily be taken over. I mean, they don't have like that strong army like they used to. They're not even close to being a superpower. They're like a third world country. They are a third world country.
Mongolian nomads are losing their traditional way of life. In the recent past, a large percentage of Mongolian people were rural, but as the country has industrialized, people have increasingly moved to the capital city. The problem is, Mongolia's capital, Ulaanbaatar, is situated in a valley, and during Mongolia's long winters, all of the coal burning that occurs in the valley is concentrated low to the ground. This makes the city's air pollution some of the worst in the entire world, and it's a problem that isn't easily solved because clean burning coal is more expensive than what's available. And a lot of the people who live in Ulaanbaatar, which is to say a large proportion of Mongolia's population, lives in what are known as ger districts, basically in yurts. These yurts comprise massive urban sprawl, and they lack a lot of the basic facilities that most people would need, like proper sanitation systems including plumbing and running water. They're basically a self-contained home. But this has still become the best option for tens of thousands of Mongolians who are looking to create a better way of life in the city, leading to a massive depopulation of Mongolia's country.
One time they were like they were actually ruling parts of Asia, actually all of Asia, from parts of Russia all the way down to the Philippines, was actually in the Mongol rule. And they were just so proud. Now look at them. Many of the nations that used to rule in the past that were proud, okay, look at Persia. Persia was a giant kingdom taken down by Alexander the Great. And now look at India today. India today was taken over again by the same people that came back with a different name, the English. The same exact people, they just went under a different name. They took over India, made India work for them for free, took as much as gold, raped India so bad. Then once they were done with them, they just threw them out to the streets, and India just remains a third world country. It's like England don't need India no more, so it's like it's worked. They just threw it out to the street. But India was once a superpower going under Persia. So when you think, look at the Babylonians. Well, you don't even hear about them no more. Egypt, for example. Egypt was one of the superpowers during the time when we was being started off as a nation. Now it's gotten so bad the Arabs run the stuff. They got kicked out their own land, and the Ishmaelites are just running things. Like the original Egyptians are like the people of Sudan and Nubia and everything like that. And it's like the Ishmaelites, they running the show up in Egypt. So all these ancient superpowers that was like ruling the world back in the time of old, they just got humbled.